Hey guys, welcome to another Complete Developer Raw. Not really sure what we're calling it these days. I think I had an idea. Oh yeah. Complete Developer Raw, a live show. DJ, that's what I was supposed to say when the Cartoon S was up, but yeah, y'all get the idea, right? Yes.
If
no,
you don't, you
maybe.
can't respond right now anyway, so that's cool.
Well, you could if
Yeah,
you're
you could.
in Facebook. So let me see. Control C. I'm trying to see if I can send the link to Slack. Yeah, it just says ref equals bookmarks. I don't think that's gonna work. All right, well we're live. We're not showing anything. Can you guys see us? All right, so we're on Periscope, but I'm not seeing. Lucas, you can see us. Awesome. We can't see ourselves on there, so we're hoping everything's good. Yes. Awesome.
Okay,
we're
cool.
good. We're not going to stress it. So, looks like I'm going to be speaking at the ITPA, which is the state's IT Professional Association, again next month, actually. The outline says September, but I got another email this morning asking me, hey, can you change it to September? So I will be speaking in September. Oh, I forgot our beer. So we are drinking Scottish ale.
And it's called Falcon Scottish Ale. Like, that's actually the type, so that's not us doing a bad Braveheart impersonation.
Yeah. Which is quite nice because I haven't had anything to drink in a while. I had onions in the gravy I ate at brunch on Sunday. So I've been sick all week. Actually, last night was the first time I ate solid food since Sunday.
Yeah.
So that's not been fun. Also, got my Microsoft hat back. Sweet.
What happened to it?
I was at Cedar Point, which is a big roller coaster amusement park up in Sandusky, Ohio.
Yep.
And very first roller coaster I rode on, I asked them, I'm like, hey, is it safe for me to wear the hat? Oh yeah, you're fine. Other people were wearing hats.
Yours blew off.
Mine just, poof. People behind me, we were like on the front row, people behind us tried to catch it, and they're like, I'm so sorry, we really tried. It's like, I appreciate it. And so I tweeted Cedar Point and Microsoft and tweet shamed them into finding it. And
Whatever works, man.
yeah,
Wow.
exactly. So there's that. Yeah, so that's what's been going on with me. How about you, man?
I have been trying to get my stuff organized. My daughter is going to middle school in, less than a month?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh.
Wow. Oh, man, that's
Really
good.
soon. So, I was talking to Jay Miller from Productivity and Tech probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. And, one of the things that came out of that conversation was just how I don't like the way I've got stuff organized right now. Mm-hmm. And so I've kind of been fixing that. So I've been fixing my workout room. I've been, just like getting my to-do list triaged, which is massive. Like there's 400 or 500 items on my to-do list total. Just cleaning stuff up, rearranging this room, rearranging the other room, just getting a whole bunch of stuff done because I can't really start anything new until after I see how bad the schedule is going to be in the fall.
Yeah, I follow you there.
So I'm like, okay, well, what do I do with the time? Because I get stir crazy.
Yeah.
So that's most of what I've been doing. We do have a new developer at the office now. We've got another senior developer, so that's been nice. Having somebody that I can bounce ideas off of that's at that level and is a .NET person. Mm-hmm. So that's been good. Other than that, man, I've been lifting like just about every day. Mm-hmm. So that's been nice. Lifted yesterday and then moved stuff around and then walked 3 miles. And I feel like I have had the worst paddling that has ever happened. Because like my hamstrings are just like blown up and so like I'm hobbling around like a little old man. It's great.
Oh my goodness. And you weren't even in a fraternity in college. No. Oh yeah, well.
No, I got paddled a lot in school.
Well, yeah.
So
it's hard to be either of us and not.
Tamara's on. Yeah, I had to fix her website last week.
Oh wow.
Took a little while. There were some hosting issues there.
Oh yeah, you told me about those.
Yeah, it's like, hey, let's just put a 301 redirect to somebody else's site, which it happened to be like the test version of her site that it was redirecting to, but that was broken.
Yeah,
like I didn't even know that was still there. First of all, and second of all, why?
yeah.
What are you doing?
No.
So that took a little while, and of course I had to struggle with the hosting company, which you know how that is.
Oh yeah,
We deal with them all the time.
been there, done that. So, podcast news, not a whole lot. We're just sort of plugging away. People are getting their water bottles. We've gotten a few tweets and other messages from people. If you're not in the U.S., it may take a little while for those to start showing up. But if you guys have gotten in touch with us, we have sent all of those out. If you have won a water bottle and not gotten in touch with us, shoot me or Will, or actually send us an email to Neckbeards. That way we'll both see it.
Neckbeards at CompleteDeveloperPodcast.com.
Yeah. And with your address and stuff, and so I'll get that sent out to you. So we're going to do something we haven't done in a little while. Did you hear about?
Yeah, this was profound enough that we had to talk about this. So, Facebook, I think, needs to change their company name. I think Faceplant, after today's stock exchange
I was going to say,
news,
there's already a failbook.com. So
Yeah,
they can't really change it to that.
well, they could buy them out. They still have
Dude,
they're
they
still
still have
sitting on like
a
Scrooge
little
McDuck
bit.
money. It's just not.
Yeah.
They got nailed pretty bad.
It is being called the largest single drop in history.
Yeah.
Or modern history, I guess. I don't know about the plummet in, was it 29?
Yeah. Well, I mean, none of us were around then, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
But yeah,
they lost 119 billion.
yep.
Yeah. So just to put that number in perspective, that's larger than the value of Coors.
Well, so
Right.
no. The Mark Zuckerberg himself lost 15 billion,
Okay,
which is
that's
more than the value, since we're beer nerds, more than the value of Coors and more than the value of Macy's. For those of you that don't drink but like your parades.
Okay. I'm sure that's a demographic group I can hit with Google Analytics. They don't drink, but they like parades.
You will not find them in New Orleans.
Yeah. Well, you won't find the people that are in both groups for sure. Unless they don't have a sense of smell. Yeah. And then they're right on Bourbon Street trying to figure out what's going on.
But so Mark Zuckerberg lost more money in one day because of this than Coors is worth or Macy's is worth.
Yeah.
And the company itself suffered a stock drop of over 40 points. Just investors are leaving in droves, really. The thing is, this comes about because, well, there's a lot of speculation about it, but their profits have been steadily declining each quarter, and they just announced the predictions for the next 2 quarters were going to be continued going down.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of in the cards, right? Like from that congressional hearing that they had.
Yeah.
Facebook has got an Android client, but what we didn't know is that they have an Android CEO. I don't know if you saw like his creepy facial expressions and like he just was very uncanny valley
Android CEO.
Yeah.
I can't. That's just.
It was like you can't do a performance like that and then go, "Oh yes, you humans can trust me." It's like
they said that. They said that about the president of the college we went to when we were there.
Yeah.
Like we had friends that said this about him.
Yeah,
and I'm
he
like,
was actually an Android.
But he was so quotable.
Yeah.
He really was.
But Zuckerberg had like the big eye blink.
Oh yeah.
It's like, man,
that's all the Botox.
He's he can't move his face. He's like the Sphinx.
Yeah.
It could be. All right.
I mean, he's in his 30s now. He's getting Botox, right?
Yeah.
Because he works with all those late teens, early 20s folks, so he wants
Yeah.
to look like that.
So enough about cartoon freak Halloween costumes. Let's talk about Mark Zuckerberg. What's his next move?
I have no idea.
Probably the robot.
Yeah. Well,
I
you
got
know,
nothing.
I feel sorry for the guy.
I don't.
He is no longer one of the top 5 billionaires.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I mean, I feel bad for him.
You know, the thing is like if you're gonna be like a creepy supervillain like that guy, you know you're gonna be disappointed when you have like a pile of coins and you can't jump into it like Scrooge McDuck. Because it's like you're just jumping into a pile of metal. It's like bam. You know.
You could jump into a pile of Bitcoin.
Actually, that could explain what his problem is. He did that. He didn't know better. He
Yeah,
just jumped, and now he's got weird. Yeah, could be that.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we went way off the rocker there, so we're gonna jump over
Sorry.
to.
Well, Zuckerberg is. It's just fun to make fun of him, you know.
He's like an easy target,
yeah,
you know. So
Some
sometimes you gotta
stuff you
pick
do
the
is-
low hanging fruit.
yeah.
All right, so moving on into a few
And
questions.
he picked the low hanging fruit. Don't know what kind of berries that boy's been eating. So the first question that we got was, can I be sued by my employer if I quit my job and walk off without notice? That's pretty unlikely.
It depends on the employer
Yeah.
and your contract with them.
Yeah, that's going to be hard to enforce. Now, they may tell you that just to scare you. And, you know, you may have legal action, you know, done upon you or whatever and have to fight it out in court. I just don't see that as a real risk. Personally, if I was the employer in that situation, my reaction would be, I'm glad they're gone. If they're at the level where they're mad and they're walking out, let them go. Mm-hmm. You know, don't drag this out because they're already there. So it's not going to be a positive interaction. Now, if you walk off with intellectual property, physical property, you took down the domain controller and changed the password, you know, that kind of stuff. Yeah, like if you don't do any e-vandalism, you're probably okay.
Yeah.
Now that said, you probably shouldn't walk off without notice. Just in general, I would say that's a bit of a bad karma thing.
It depends on the situation too.
Yeah, it can be bad enough where you should. I've had one or two where I really, really should have just said, you know, I should have just left and not even told them.
When this was back when I was in school. I don't remember if it was high school or college. I don't think it was college because I was working. I was teaching during college, so probably high school maybe. I worked as a line cook at a restaurant, and I was a good preacher's kid boy, and when the lead started cussing me out for forgetting something, I just took off my apron, told him I quit, and walked out.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't going to put up with it. And you shouldn't put up with that kind of behavior either. No one should.
Yeah. Abuse or,
Yeah.
you know, like somebody getting in your face and screaming over nothing. I had one job like that where I told them I was done. I was there through a subcontract of a subcontractor.
I remember you telling me about that one, yeah.
And that was, you know, I had somebody get in my face and scream, and I should have just told them various ways that they could end themselves in a tragicomic sense. But I didn't. And, you know, I just, you know, told the folks I was working through that, you know, I'm not going to be staying there, so you need to get me out of here. Mm-hmm. And it might have been worthwhile to quit suddenly and just walk away. It would have been, you know, it would have gotten their attention maybe a little bit, but for the most part, it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
So I'd say the other side is don't do this, and you don't have that problem.
Mm-hmm. All right, next question. What are common and subtle bugs that novice software developers run into? So, this happened to me today. Apparently, when I started the project that I am been working on, we just moved our repo because we're setting up a new build server, and it's all manner of awesomeness coming. But apparently, when I set it up, very early in my time here, I put the config as part of the git ignore to ignore the configs, especially the web config, because
Yeah.
I got frustrated with it changing because we had things in different environments. I'm like, I would rather just go in and put it in manually in the environments. And of course, it's one of those things that once you set up, you forget about,
Yep.
and you go on, and you rarely make changes to those config files.
But when you do,
but when you're migrating to a new repo and none of the config files are there, I can say this: ASP.NET Web APIs, they have about 5 web.config files. Yeah, I learned that the hard way. Yeah, and I think Dave is watching us on Facebook, so he saw some of my commit comments. One of them was just ugh, and that was the last group that I found when trying to get the thing to build.
man.
Oh yeah, that was fun. So some other things that I have done or seen. Trying to think what's some of the dumb things that I've done.
Off by one errors, that's a good one.
Oh yeah.
Errors where you have an empty set or an empty string when you think there's something there.
Oh yeah, not checking for
Yeah.
like you null check it, but because it's an empty string,
Yeah.
it's not null.
Or it's not a number.
Yeah.
Or it's undefined, like in JavaScript. You get burned by that.
Typos.
Yeah, typos will get you.
Because
Especially in string constants, dictionary lookups.
or in your view models,
Yeah.
because I
Where it
before
can't
C,
see it.
I before E except after C unless you're in C#. Dave will get that because I typoed and he's like
Okay.
he was picking on me. I'm like, it's not in C# like that.
Yeah.
I went EI or something.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
it
know.
doesn't matter at that point. Like,
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff will get you. One thing that I see a lot is where somebody's like, I can't hit this breakpoint. Why can't I hit this breakpoint? And then after like 20 minutes, they go, oh yeah, this code's not actually running.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing. I did that today.
Forgetting to give grants to your schema user account that you may go in as yourself and build it and then forget to give your application user grants. I do that
Yep.
all the time. I've actually got a script for it that I run on everything, so I don't forget that now.
Yeah.
Actually, with this new build server, I won't have to worry about that. So that's quite nice.
Yeah. There's lots of stuff. You'll get weird stuff with merges sometimes where you're not paying enough attention and somebody changes the code that's upstream of you and doesn't actually break the like the interface contract string that would cause a compile error. It's just, they're passing you a different string. Anytime that you see primitive data types, it's a spot where you can get hurt, pretty much.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of stuff around that, just stuff out of range where you're like, nobody will ever do this. Nobody will ever pass a -1. It's like, if that's in range, they will.
Another thing I have seen, not so much from me, but from other juniors I've worked with, is reinventing the wheel.
Oh yeah.
So not using what's built in, like even built into the system stuff, and like
string.split.
yeah,
Yeah, that's my favorite. I've seen a couple of implementations of that where somebody's like, oh, I can just, and they'll loop through and they build they are building a string up as they go until they hit a comma, and then they, like, I saw that one time and I was just,
I can believe
what?
it. Some of the stuff I have seen, I can totally believe it. Now, like these are the kind of mistakes though that it's like when you're learning, it's fine to make, and it's when you're
a junior dev, I get it.
It's fine to make.
What the dangerous thing though is like the upper end of mid level when they're not being watched. That's when you see some crap.
Well, the thing is, what you're getting, and unfortunately, I'm getting myself into mid level now, and so when you're there, the I guess the trope or whatever the idea is, when you're junior, you do things simplistically because that's what how you know how to do them. When you get to mid-level, you build things, you overly complicate them.
Yeah.
Because you're learning the complexities, and then when you get to senior,
you start trimming it back down again.
Yeah, you build complex things in simple ways.
Yeah.
And
you say that. Today
well, sometimes you have to do complex things.
Yeah, I've got a generic test class that has nested classes in it that have 4 generic constraints on them.
Like for example, with talking C#.net, when I learned about generics,
Yeah.
I started doing a lot of things like building things with generics. And then I got further along and I realized, this is kind of complicated, but everything inherits from object.
Right, but then you got to cast.
Yeah.
That's the only thing with that.
If you need to.
If you actually need to.
Yeah.
If it's something that's like, oh, I'm pulling it from here and I'm pushing it over here and I never do anything to it, just chuck an object. If it'll go,
That's what I was getting at was like, I didn't need to do generic. I could just use object for certain things.
Yeah.
Like I have one of our searches, we have to, I check for if there's any properties in the query before running the search.
Right.
And so I just send it over as an object because it doesn't matter what gets passed in. All I'm doing is going, hey, value to string, is it null or empty?
Right.
Or white space. So
yeah, and that's one thing that'll get you a lot. And the white space thing is another thing that could be a problem on strings, right? Because
I didn't think about
null,
that. Mm-hmm.
You check for zero length, but it's like, okay, somebody typed a space. We've got an app at work right now that we use for our time system, and it's like, oh, here's a bug, right? And and there's so many bugs in there where the description of how to reproduce the bug is a tilde. And it's like, it's not necessarily a rookie mistake to catch it because you think, okay, there's only like 5 people putting in bugs. Like, I go talk to all of them and go, quit doing that crap. But, that sort of thing, you get into a, big scale app, it'll burn you. I mean, stuff that can happen one time out of a million. If you have 1 billion transactions in there, guess what you have 1,000 of?
Yeah. That's a good point. Well, that side note, that reminds me of a story I heard about, I think it was a Japanese or Chinese manufacturer. They sent in the specs, and I forget where I heard this, but they sent in the specs. This company sent in the specs, and it said, like, let's say they were ordering 1,000 of something, and they said a fail rate of 10.
Right.
So they got back 990 in perfect condition, and then 10 broken ones.
Yeah.
Like in a separate box, 10 busted ones.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You've got to be kind of explicit with computers and with some people.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the next question.
Is it true that bad code is sometimes better than elegant code because it saves time and money? Okay, so there's some loaded words here. So let's start with the weasel words in this question, and then we'll come back to the answer. Bad code. Bad code is code written by another developer about half the time. So like loading semantic meaning onto that, it's going to be a little tricky. Sometimes is any value between never and always. So I don't know what that is. Better. What do you mean better? Like, if I'm just trying to get this code done and quit, there's a lot of things that are better that are probably not better if I plan to stay for a year. Elegant code. I've seen some stuff that people say is elegant. Get into some of the functional programming stuff where it's like, straight on covariance, contravariance, invariance everywhere, and you're expected to know advanced math. That's elegant. It's also incomprehensible.
I like it personally.
Yeah, I mean, it grows on you, but like if you're
like a wart.
If you're not using that all the time, like it's elegant, but it isn't elegant.
Yeah.
It's like Ozzy Osbourne is elegant if you can understand him. Otherwise, he's a shuffling old guy that's probably had a few drugs.
Probably. I don't think that's a...
Well, again, few is a weasel word. Okay, so elegant code because it saves time and money. Defining saves time and money is also very tricky. Because what saves time and money? Well, a quick fix right now may save time and money and cost you money in the future.
Mm-hmm. No, there is the thing of, and you and I have both done this, where we had something that we needed to patch and get out.
Yeah. You patch it to get it out, and then you can fix it.
Yes. And in that case, I would think, yes.
Well, there's a difference between saving time and money by switching to Geico and saving time and money by leaving the scene of an accident.
Okay.
Right? I'm glad you didn't blow beer out your nose right there.
Onto my laptop. No,
and my laptop, and the microphones, and all my books. Because I mean,
I don't
I've
think
seen
they
you blow beer out your nose before, dude. You're like close to Guinness level on that. And I don't mean like the beer. Well, maybe I guess it was.
It was the beer that time, yeah.
But like as far as like distance for the spray and pray, the man over here. I mean, I think your beard would actually filter it a little bit now because you didn't have the beard then. Maybe
No,
that first time.
No.
Not the other time.
In college, I think I went through phases.
Yeah. So anyway, wow, that went off the rails. We haven't done this in a while.
No, I find it funny that like Will didn't see the questions beforehand, so that Geico was like off just the top of his head.
It was organic, like a tumor. So it just grew there. We don't know what happened.
It was organic, like chemistry,
like hippie food. I don't know. All right, so the next one. What do we have next? I don't even know.
Okay.
I swear, man.
Oh man,
we haven't even had that much beer. Like I've had that's not even that strong.
We did this last week, didn't we?
I don't know.
Oh, anyways,
I feel like we didn't.
We did though.
I know. I don't remember it though.
So the episode, speaking of last week, or this week, I should say, the episode that came out this week was part 1 of white label applications development. White label applications are a different beast. Your code runs on your client servers, and you may not have full control over them or even access to it. It puts an entirely different set of constraints on how you build, deploy, and troubleshoot your software. With a white label app, your clients may tinker with the database, integrate with things you wouldn't expect, or even come to rely on bugs as features. They may use the application in ways you never expected, and their business may be entirely reliant on misusing your application. In addition, they may well customize the application itself, changing code in the database, altering CSS, or even changing the data that you thought was static. It's an entirely different set of constraints as well, and full of nasty surprises for the unprepared. In the episode that came out this week, we talk through some of these so that you are prepared if you ever find yourself in this situation from the development perspective.
And next week's episode will be the second part of that, which will be discussing the maintenance of white label apps. It isn't over when you deploy an application. In fact, that's the beginning. It's like getting a black belt in karate. You know, everybody goes, "Oh, I'll get a black belt and I'll be done." It's like, no, now you're accepted to actually learn the real painful lessons. White label applications offer an additional level of challenges over normal applications, especially after being deployed. Due to some of these constraints, many simple tasks become orders of magnitude harder or can't even be done at all. There's a lot of work in maintaining such an application over the long haul, and a lot of it is work that you might not think about until you experience it. In this episode, we discuss how post-deployment and support processes get changed in white label scenarios and how that impacts you as a developer. We start by talking about troubleshooting and instrumentation and how those get changed. Then we discuss how deployment differs, how integration with the application differs, and how help and documentation get altered based on this kind of scenario. Finally, we discuss how support changes and what that does to you.
Guys, thanks for hanging out with us. We are going to jump off here and record another awesome episode.
And drink some more beer.
Oh, yeah. This stuff is really good. So we will talk to you guys later.